Most agents believe that a complete overhaul of their business is what's going to change it for the better. And in reality, it's not even about that. It's about having small, significant steps that are consistently happening on a daily basis. Today, I'm going to share with you not just the strategy that's going to help take your business to another level, but the practical steps that you can put in place right at the end of this video. I am constantly searching for things and philosophies and understanding of what it truly takes to become the agent that you have been born to be, the agent that your clients deserve, the agents and the business that you have dreamed about for all these years. One of the things that I found is, as I began to study some of this, is I found a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, which basically discusses the fact that it's not about completely overhauling everything, that actually true success comes by consistently growing just a little bit better every single day. So what I want to do today is I want to go through and talk to you about this. How do we get better every single day? What is the strategies? What are the steps you need to take to be able to see this type of growth? And how can you put this into practice where at the end of this video, you're going to be able to walk into this and know that you're going to see improvement in your business, not just tomorrow, but in the future as well. All right, so the structure of this video is that we're going to evaluate where you've been. We're going to talk about where you are. I'm going to give you practical ways to understand each of these. And then we're going to talk about where are you headed? What is it that you want your business to look like 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years from now? And then at the end, I'm going to give you 5 practical steps, strategies that you can put into place on a daily basis that's not going to make it a matter of if you will achieve that business of your dreams, but when will it happen? All right, so it's hard to know where we're headed until we know where we've been. So we're going to first start by evaluating what is it in your business that has both worked and what hasn't worked in the past. So this is going to really involve taking a little bit of time, pausing a little bit, and reflecting back on the things that you've done. Now, the best way to do this that I found is for you to make a list of all the transactions you've had over the last 3 or 4 years. Break down each of those transactions to understand where did the leads come from initially? Did they come from open houses? Did they come from your sphere of influence? Were they referrals? Were they past clients? When we have that, then we can begin to look at what it is that we have been doing to get those closings, not the leads, but the actual closings, the people that converted. Once we get that, we're going to begin to see a pattern. And maybe it is that your sphere of influence was something that did that. Maybe it was online leads. Maybe it was geographical farming. Maybe, just maybe, it was from referrals that you generated from other agents in other markets. Whatever it was, you'll begin to see some patterns here. Now, we don't want to just know what it is that has worked in the past, but what has not worked? What are some of the things you've done that you spent money on, that you've invested time in, that didn't pan out? I want you to look at that list of those transactions and where they generated and where they actually converted to closings, and think about the things that you spent time on that maybe you're even spending time on now that haven't been working. Because in reality, what we want to do is now that we know where we've been, we can begin to understand where we are and begin to redeploy our time, our assets, and our efforts to the areas that are getting the best results. All right, as we begin to evaluate what it is that's happening right now, what is happening in your business right now, I want to encourage you. I want you to keep a log, basically a journal for daily activities of what you're doing on a daily basis for 1 week. Now, I can tell you this is going to be one of the most efficient weeks you've had in a long time because you're writing down on an hourly basis what you did that time. You're going to do more things. But I want you to look at this from a standpoint of, is it like a first hour, number one, spent 45 minutes preparing for a social media post, spent an hour reaching out to past clients, wrote thank you notes, whatever it is that you did, worked on a direct mail piece, whatever it is that you did activity-wise on an hourly basis, do this for that 1 week time period. And at the end of the week, I want you to evaluate this. Notice the areas that really were probably a waste of time. Notice the areas that have been getting some results, because now we're not just looked back to see what had worked in the past or what didn't work in the past, and we got an idea of what was working best. Are you spending time in those areas that are the most valuable things for you to do? Were you doing an unsolicited video CMA once a day? Were you making and having 10 to 15 real estate related conversations every day? Were you reaching out to your sphere of influence on a daily basis? Whatever it was, this will give you the understanding of exactly where you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and that's going to lead into now building and thinking about what is the business that we want it to look like in 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years from now, and now we're moving on to that next step. All right, so now that we know where we've been, now that we know where we are, where do we want to go? Let's think about this. What if you were drawing up your ideal business 3 years from now? What would that look like 5 years from now? And here's the reason why I'm going out that far is because what happens with agents historically is that we overestimate what we can do in a day and we underestimate what we can do in a year, 3 years, 5 years. So I want you to get a clear vision and think big here. Expand your thought process. What is it that you would love to do? Would you love to do $50 million in sales volume? Would it be $10 million? Would it be $5 million? Whatever it is for you, identify what would be an ideal business for you 3 to 5 years from now. Because let me just say this, we work in a business where whatever that is for you, it's achievable. There's people around you that are already achieving the goals that you have, so why not you? So once we have an understanding of where we're headed, now what we can do is we can begin to backfill with the activities that'll get us there. So I've always used it this way. If you're thinking about it, on average in our industry, 50 real estate related conversations generates 1 transaction. So we know that if you want 1 transaction per month, I'm just using that to make the numbers easier for me, then we know we need to have 50 real estate related conversations on average every single month. So we can backfill that. Now all we're talking about is 12 and a half per week. My gosh, it's not that much. All of a sudden now we start looking 5 days a week. We just got to have a couple, 3 conversations a day, and we're going to be able to reach that goal. When we evaluate this and we begin to look at this, then we begin to get that understanding of what it is. Maybe it's that you come in and you say, I would like to be the dominant agent in this neighborhood in my community. If you do that, now we can begin to backfill. Okay, well, what are the activities over the next year? We need to have a mailer that goes out every month. We need to have calls that are made to that area. We need to host open houses. We need to host community events, whatever it is. Once you identify exactly what it is that you want your business to look like 3 years from now, begin to backfill that with the activities to get you there. And if you're not sure about this, go in and utilize ChatGPT or whatever you're using bot-wise and ask it and say, I would like to, whatever it is you'd like to do in 3 years, in 1 year, in 6 months, please give me daily activities that will not make it a matter of if, but when will I achieve that goal. So now we're going to roll into the 5 daily activities. Now, these are things that are very specific that I know are going to help you get incrementally better every single day as you go forward. Just a little bit. Applying the Kaizen philosophy so that we absolutely know that you're going to achieve that ideal business you're looking for. All right, so this is what I do. Now, let me just say this. These are frameworks. If you want to take some of them out and add something that you want to do, then obviously you should do that. But let me start with what I typically want to do, okay? I personally want to think about it, I think from a monthly standpoint. What is it that I really want to focus in on this month? As we evaluated what's effective in your business, maybe it's something that you want to get better at. Maybe it's something where you want to become a better geographical farmer. Maybe you want to become a better video content creator, social media. Maybe it's something where you want to become the person who shows so much gratitude that your sphere of influence can't help but send you deals. Whatever it is for you, I want you to pick that subject that you want to get better at. And that leads to step number 1. On a daily basis, 20 to 30 minutes every single day, we're going to study that area. Now, that could be a podcast. That could be a book you're reading. That could be listening to someone who's doing this. Maybe it's a training that you purchase. Maybe it's somebody coaching on this. But whatever it is, every single day that you're working, 20 to 25 minutes, we want to be studying and developing that skill pattern. Again, if every single day we're learning something new and we're growing and developing into that we want to become, that's going to take care of everything else. We're moving in the right direction now, and we're absolutely going to get those results. The second step is to have daily conversations. Again, I would backfill in, but it needs to be at least 5 to 20 real estate related conversations on a daily basis. Now, here's what you're saying is, but how does that help me get better? Number 1 is it adds consistency to your pipeline, which means that deals are going to continuously be coming your way. The second thing it does is when you have that many conversations, you begin to listen and hear the way that people respond to certain things you say. So every single conversation, it gives you the ability to understand what you did well, and as you evaluate, maybe what you shouldn't have said. Every single conversation gets you and refines you to become a better conversationalist, gives you the understanding of how to identify needs and how to meet those needs on the phone in a way that helps drive more deals. So, first step, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes every single day. We're going to learn a new skill. We're going to be very practical, and we're going to have whatever number you decide on, a certain number of real estate related conversations every single day. Is going to help us get better in our communication. Or the third is to improve a system or start a system every single day. Now, this is where we're going to create some efficiencies, okay? So I want you to think about it this way. Do you have a checklist when you take a new listing? Does it have a very systematic approach to what you're going to do to market that listing that you can show the sellers and that you can have someone, whether it be an assistant or you can follow that you know is going to get things done? Do you have a system in place once something goes under contract, the type of communication that goes out? Do you have a system in place with your database where you're going to have a systematic emails that are going out that you can refine that system? Maybe you want to get better on social media, and maybe you want to define or develop a system where you would have a content calendar. Whatever it is, every single day we want to either start and begin to refine an existing system you have. Once you're defining and we're refining or we're growing new systems, all of a sudden now our efficiency increases and our business increases as well. Set a gratitude daily goal, something you're going to do on a daily basis. Now, you may be saying, well, how does this help me? Well, what this really does is it sets your mind at a place where you begin to look for opportunities to praise someone else, to give them a shout out, to make them the hero. And by doing so, the law of reciprocity comes back in. So I'll give you an example. For me, I try to do 4 a day. Now, this is a mix. It's not just written thank you notes. This is going in and commenting on social media, congratulating someone if they had some achievement. Also, it is also going in, leaving reviews for some of the people that are service providers for you or that gave you great service. Listen, I will tell you this, the best way to get reviews is to give reviews. So if that's a systematic way that you're showing appreciation, I promise it's going to come back. You see, once we get to a place where these systematically on a daily basis, we're saying thank you, we're going to find more things to be thankful for. Last but not least is at the end of every single day, we're going to do reflections. We're going to go back and we're going to think about what were the things you did today that were the most effective things you did so that we can do more of those tomorrow. What is it that you did today that wasn't effective and that we need to refine and maybe move out or start doing a little bit differently? You see, by reflecting at the end of every single day and thinking about what it is that we did and then adjusting the next day, Kaizen goes to work for us. This is where that principle works, because now not only are we just hoping things happen, we're actually refining at the end of every single day so that the next day is going to be better and the next day will be better and the next day will be better after that. So if you could do these 5 things on a daily basis where you're getting better incrementally day by day, it's building blocks that builds the business of your dreams. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.